One moment, guys. I'm trying to get YouTube to go. Going. Testing mic. Testing mic. Okay, good. That's on it. Hello and welcome back to Fortnite with Sephiroth TX, aka Joshua Winters. I'm here today just to screw around on Fortnite for an hour or so and talk about my writings and about what's going on in the future. First, I will let you know that I have a actual interview coming up here on Monday, and I am in a little line of interviews. So it doesn't mean I get the job, but I'll try. If I get the job, I don't know if I'll have any weekends off. So what's happening is likely this Friday or Saturday. I'm going to bet on Saturday around midday, probably around noonish. Fortnite's event will happen. If I have the day off that the event happens or the time off that the event happens, I will be there. If I don't, I won't. Have to watch someone else. That's okay because go watch someone more popular than me. But if I do, I'll let y'all know beforehand. Um, well, let me go ahead and share this around before going more forward. Man, there's songs come ahead, and I think it might be because it's part of the Wednesday back. I didn't even tell you what the name of that song is off the top of my head. I put Fortnite and Jill didn't put down the link. I'm smart. I are smart. Anyway, we're here for Fortnite and Jill. If you want to speak and talk about something, you can. I am going to start talking about my stories. The reason for this is basically a little self promotion for the dozens of people that watch this that may have not read any of my stuff. It lets you know that my stuff exists, what it's about, what I write, stuff like that. We'll be going through everything I've published, self published in the past, oh God, over a decade now. None of it being super popular. I have just a few hundred readers, and I appreciate all of y'all. First, we are going to be switching characters as we die. We're going to start out with Sanctum because I'm pretty sure we were around Sanctum. Sanctum, if you remember, is actually a character based off the same skin that becomes Drift. So likely this is, I believe that was true. But we're not going to look it up because I have other things to look up. I have something new. Why does it say I have something new? Hold on here. Let me find someone newer. Come here, lady. Because I have something new going on in here. I don't know what the frick wants for me. Okay. It's Sanctum. Sanctum's a vampire. He came around season 4. Went to go fight during the Cube era. Wasn't a good person. Fought the Hunters at the time. Or the Hunters fought them, actually. I don't know. Sanctum's really, other than the fact that he is part of another skin, I don't think we've seen. Oh, we've seen an upgrade to his skin, but I don't think we've seen another Sanctum skin to my memory. Just that his skin also had later on. It was the Crimson version. Okay. Shall we play? Let's get into OG and see what's happening there, guys. So I'm going to actually make it to where I can't see the chat so I can look up stuff on here. So if y'all chat, I'll only see it on the window up top. And that only shows it for a minute. So if I miss you and don't acknowledge you speaking to me, I didn't see it. Feel free to give it like 2 minutes. No, give it like 4 minutes because of lag. And if I don't confirm your message by 4 minutes, assume I didn't see it at the time. And feel free to try it again. I won't count it as spam as long as you aren't doing it over and over and over and over and over. Okay, I do have it in here. Okay. I need to download all these back to my Kindle. Okay, before we start and talking about self-promotion, ooh, the island has detonated. So last time I was on here, the cube had returned to the middle and was opening the portal. We do believe that the portal being opened is to the Last Realities dimension, the same portal the Queen opens in Chapter 3. At this point, it's just the cube. I'm a kind of sentient machine of theirs, as far as I can tell, attempting to open it. And there's that. Oh, by the way, I found a shishbat. I found a complete storyline to Fortnite that helps also flesh out the kind of iffy Chapter 4. So if I'm here on the day of the event, I'll read out that storyline for you guys. If I'm not here on the day of the event, I'll read it out to you on another day. By the day I get to do the chapter. A chapter intro, because I'll definitely have a chapter intro going on. Oh, that means the cubes. Okay, so the cube detonated the island, releasing the Last Reality's curse upon the island. There's a crashed bus that what's his name was in. This means that cube creatures are on the island. Last Reality monsters. My God, is it a freaking snipers only match? What's going on? There we go. Pistol. Having that thing happen where my right eye is gross. Let's go over here and see if we can't go up this hill. Woo! Did he just accidentally fire? Damn, I was kind of sluggish. So we got to see what that was. Okay. So if you aren't introduced to my writings, I am a wannabe writer. I've been so for like over a decade now. Um, oh, let's see, when was this written? When, when was my first one published? Back in 2013, over a decade ago. I published my very first self-publish. It was iffy on the editing. It really needs to go back and be re-edited. I should do that. I didn't have any kind of promotion for it. I was at the time getting tired of trying to struggle with publishers and trying to get my stuff run. I've been trying since 2003, I think, just to get someone to pay attention to me. So I went to and found what was known at the time as Smashwords. And at that moment, oh, let's go back again and do this one again. Play a little bit of Fortnite. At that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to release a short novella, just see what happens. So, just to let you know, novella is something that's too long to be a short and too short to be a book. It is not a Spanish soap opera. So, this novella was too long to be a short, too short to be a book. I call it Unsuspected. It was based off at the time. But prior to me writing this, we had some tornado activity in my hometown of San Antonio, and um, we don't have tornado sirens down here. When I wrote the San Antonio City Council about the lack of any kind of sirens, any kind of physical alerts for us if the big ones ever do hit, they were pretty dismissive of it. They were like, "Hey, you know what? Your digital phone alerts will take care of it," which has been disproven several times. If their weather's bad enough, the system goes down, satellites don't reach, we don't get the notifications. There was an actual tornado warning storm a handful of months ago, came straight through my area and over my house. If I hadn't been listening and talking to the storm chaser Reed Timmer on Facebook, I myself would have never known there was this tornado storm warned over us, a cyclone that passed right by our house, because the actual warning systems never told us. They never alerted us. None of the apps alerted us. Only Reed Timmer alerted us. And we don't know if that was a failure in the human section of it or the actual system itself failed because of the bad storm. So my book kind of covers that. It's what happens if technology fails and we have no warning that warns us when the big one hits. Then unsuspected, the big one hits in F5, and it's a long-lasting one, and it travels from the outskirts of town to the middle of town, and we follow several different points of views as they are caught unaware, from a person who's in the middle of overnight working, to a man who's at a party, to a elderly patient inside a home care facility, and a few others. Um, that was my very first publication, kind of a weather thriller. On here, while I check out where we're going, we're gonna go to Flush Hill. Why not? So just going back into Fortnite here for a minute, the next stage of that, the Redvin / Kevin should crack and start leaking its reactor core into the center of the lake where the upside down last reality ship exists. Already buzzing over here? Damn. The hell you get up there so fast? I guess I'm going to this lone house over here. Hopefully no one's here. That looks like nobody's home. And there's already a hole in the roof, which is good for me. There's a butterfly over here. There are no treasure chests up here. Weird. Okay. I even separate these into good chests. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the end here and read the author's note. Usually, I read through some of the author's note. Usually, I let you know if there's any Easter eggs in my books. And since this book is 12 years old, I don't mind reading from it. Oh yeah. So between writing this book and finishing it, I actually added a thing to the end of it. Between writing it and publishing it, there was an incident. Oh God, it's been over a decade since then, where the um, people of Twistex, the originating kind of uh, storm chasing group, the group that Twister is based off of, got hit by a tornado and lost their lives. Like the lead leads to them. They're hit by that big one that turned around. I can't believe that was that long ago. It's been over a decade since that happened. Damn, time moves by fast. There you go. What the hell? Oh, seriously, where did he go? Hello? Was it a ghost shooting at me? What the heck? Huh, fine. You what? Yep, I'll take that. Interesting, but let's get going in. So yeah, I released that not long after. Well, I don't know, a few years after. As I went on and kept trying to do things, I would write shorts. I write shorts all the time. In fact, I just wrote a short, and I've released a whole bunch out to different magazines in hopes they'll get out. And I'll make a little money off them. You make up to like $400 max for releasing a short normally. Ooh, look at the purple mist. Oh, right. I forgot they're going to be very noisy. If I remember correctly, killing them gives you shield and releases weapons. Bounce. Orm has me. There's somebody. Let's go get him. Good shot. I didn't even know if he noticed me. Change characters. I don't think I did the last time. So after a collection of shorts for a while, let's see what year. Around 2014, oh, I lasted a whole year. I ended up collecting a whole bunch of shorts together. What was happening is I was in a dark mood. I created mini dark shorts. The mood was created by the lack of the publishing, which, you're an artist and you're not recognized, it can get really depressing. And I collected a bunch of these shorts and created a short series that I would call the Dead Ends, which are currently three. What happened is I said I would, if I remained unofficially published, I'd still publish shorts. They'd all have kind of dark themes to them. A lot of my shorts would come to be either politically or fantasy related or both. And we'll go through the ones here in Dark End in a minute. We'll go ahead and get the locker open. Mr. Pumpkinhead. Let's go ahead and go to not ranked reload, just regular reload. Higher ranked. So we're just talking. I just want to play normal. Okay. Fine. Reload with. So our very first story in here is Creeping Death. Creeping Death I crafted to become a kind of anchoring point and lead off to what I call the Witcher's universe, a kind of universal tie-in of several stories. It introduces a creature of darkness that does not have a name. It's called darkness. Now sometimes the man in the hood, the thing in the hood, the thing of smoke. It's a creature that seems to travel in sort of a robe, hooded robe. It's a creature that seems to be made humanoid, but made of possibly smoke or moving darkness, whose only discerning feature you ever notice throughout most of its life is a slimy black tentacle that sometimes slithers out of its robe. And that's it. That's all you ever notice of it. Though it has appeared in several of his stories. It has mimetic effects on people, and people who aren't fully uh, its goal, its target, and it also has physical effects to people on. And it passes by a kid and it cracks skin like dry ice. Same with another human. It passes by that. It's not its target. Let's see where we're going today. We are going to go over here. Oh, it looks like we're doing rare drops. Cool. Oh, you know, it's a rare weekend. I think they're only doing rare drops, which means we might be stuck on the Nightmare Island, which is not terrible. We absolutely have all the passes done, so we have nothing to aim for in passes. I'm gonna go down here and start running in because we only have a 32-second time before it starts closing in on us. I'm pretty sure there's a chest over here, or I'm just dumb. Well, I guess that it says that. The chest somewhere up here I can have. I know weapon, please. There we go. I have time on my way up. So Storm in this mode does not mess around. So yeah, Creeping Death introduced you to that monster. There's a whole storyline of it happening. Uh, Inside San Antonio. Oh, we gotta go. This one I would count more fantasy. There's no real moral to the story as far as everything else goes because this is a fairly short. It's just a monster introduction. So, you know, the next one is Bloodletting. That is actually something so short I don't even count it as a short. I would count that more as a prose, maybe. And that one is story is more about psychosis. But the next one is crickets. This one's another kind of creature feature. Um, and is based off at the time I worked at a facility, a PetSmart facility, a hotel facility. So my favorite job, if PetSmart had paid me well, I would have stayed there forever. And inside this job, it was a brand new area that had once been a farm field, so it had issues with crickets. All right, I heard. I know there was fighting going on over here. I don't know where from or who. But yeah, we had cricket problems at the time, and the crickets were not like the. Hey, it's a new lichen. Ooh. Oops, I did not realize that was on this way. Grr. But yeah, I took that idea and turned it into like a creature feature because honestly, crickets are gross. I don't think most people would disagree with me on that idea. Our next story in there is actually tall trees. So that, again, another creature feature in this one. This one is one of my favorite creature features. It has to do with a. It's the idea of creepypasta. If you remember back 2000, early 2000s, independent online stories known as creepypasta kind of reawoken the interest in horror. And things like Slenderman, The Rake, new folk stories pretty much. And then the creations that came from them, like the Marble Hornets. The idea was to do sort of our own kind of. Yeah, the hammer's better. Our own kind of. My own version of a creepypasta called the Tall Tree. I don't want to give away the Tall Tree, but it does start out sort of as a Slenderman hunt that turns into something much worse. The Harvest Moon is one. We'll sit here for a minute. If anybody comes through, we'll attack them. I don't remember how good this one is, so we'll try it. Probably sucks, but whatever. So the Harvest Moon is another creature feature. I am, of course, a werewolf fan. My two novels that we'll get to later on today are werewolf centric. Um, but my idea was to create something different. Ooh, Cold takes the bait kick there. Have I killed nobody this round? No, I haven't. Too busy talking. And in this creature feature, it was also my kind of first test at being kind of gruesome with the killing. So it starts. What happened is there was a contest a while ago in a magazine, 100 weird shorts, see what you could do with it. My idea was to do a werewolf centric thing, and I did okay. I was told it was good, but it wasn't accepted as the final entry. So what I did was I expanded on it a lot and created this short and put it in the collection. I don't know why I'm doing this. So like I care if I exist to the end here. I don't have anything to earn as far as AXP goes. And I'm not ranked. Half the people here are probably bots. Oh, at least I got one kill. Bad landing. I meant to slide, but I didn't slide. I just crouched. I got tooted on by art, man. So yeah, Tall Trees was oh, okay, we went past Tall Trees, right? The Harvest Moon. Um, the idea was to have a were creature that was underwater. I thought it would be original, and it turned out to be pretty gruesome. It was a short again, not like super short, but still short. Um, the Loop is an interesting one. That one's actually based off a dream slash nightmare I had several times in a row as a kid. Don't ask me what the dream was supposed to be meaning. If it was supposed to mean something, it made no sense. I won't give away what the dream was about because that gives away the entire story. It's a very short that is kind of just like a trippy, uh, stuck in a stuck in a rut kind of thing. Read it if you want to read it. It's from Dead Ends. Notice that all my Dead Ends series are free to read. The Bargain is one that is a little longer. That one might be considered a novella. This one was based off, at the time, I had three dogs. One was a Labrador who was extremely driven. The house she played didn't want to bark. The idea was, what do my neighbors think of? What happens if I had an evil neighbor? I'd moved the idea of having a Labrador over to a pit bull because at the time pit bulls are and still are kind of poorly treated by people who think that it's their fault that they come out are violent dogs. When you look at the history of dog bites and dog maulings, people's aren't even at the top. Golden retrievers are at the top. We're talking about actual attacks, not accidental bites. Which I have nothing against golden retrievers either, but pitbulls have this kind of unfair, they're going to kill everybody sigh on them when there's tons of good pitbulls, and it's all about how they're raised, how they're treated. The pitbulls that attack people, those pitbulls, I guarantee you, were trained to attack people, and then they're let loose by bad owners, and then they attack people. The pitbulls who are raised in a loving family, they do not attack people. But anyway, so it's based on having a neighbor who is actually an old serial killer, and that's not like a spoiler. That's just told right off the beginning. And he's semi-retired, but not fully retired from his doing that. And his neighbors have a dog that barks monotone, and he just snaps. And it's sort of a horror story told from the killer's angle, which is a little different, I thought. Then, lastly, in the first Dead Ends, was Sequa. Sequa is tied into the whole inter-universe idea that started with Creeping Death. It was also based loosely off another dream I had, which was just like trippy, what drugs am I taking dream. Um, and it has some just starts off with a weird kind of fantastical site that people on a bus share, and then they end up in a town in a fictional town in the middle of nowhere, Texas. There's a lot of middle of nowhere Texas towns, so named Sequoia or Sequoia. And well, hold on here. Everything on this table is falling off. They're at this place for a wedding, but then people end up disappearing. The town ends up disintegrating around them bit by bit. They're trying to figure out what's going on. It ends up being a creature feature. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything. I'll go read it. But it does have some tie-ins to the Creeping Death universe and the Dark Entity. After that, I think I left it alone for a while. Get over here until 2017. I gave it a good 3 year birth. 2017, I released Dead Ends 2, which again was another collection of short stories. Um, all of them dark, most of them not very well ending, just like most Dead Ends. Between the release of Dead Ends 1 and Dead Ends 2, I had written a bunch of political horrors as well, based on things at the time that was going on, especially if these were like let's just say a certain wing of politicians were becoming more and more and more insane, more hate filled, more anti queer, more racist, things like that. And I was seeing the rise of what they've become today. And I wrote a bunch of stories about what that could happen, how that was affecting, or just inspired by that. So that includes a lot of that, but that's not all this is about. The very first story in Dead End Sue is Mine the 13th Floor, which is a anthropomorphic or furry feature. The furries aren't the features. Actually, I don't even sure consider feature. Actually, I would consider it more a psychological thriller. It's a story that pretty much has you scratching your head and going, "What is going on here?" So yeah, it's more a psychological thriller than anything. I see any of the fighting going on over here. I don't know if it gives away my position in these type of guns or if it's just snipers. It's just snipers. I don't know if these little clouds here have anything to do with anything. Kind of remind me of the tornado clouds, or they're just here because of the spooky island. Um, ooh, who's trying to shoot me? Back, I can't see you. I feel like they're cheating. They're shooting me through the trees like they know where I am. Huh. Okay, there's the purple over here. Get this with us. Anyway, so Mine the 13th Floor is an antho or furry novel and it's horror. It has to deal with a person who is a human in charge of a corporation that primarily employs half humans. It is tied to another series of novels I'm writing. But during the Halloween event there, oh wow, that was crappy. I'm completely didn't jump there. I was supposed to jump there. Place all my stuff. Uh, he noticed several things, that seem to be weird that keep happening. People missing, people who don't belong there being there. Um, he ends up traveling what appears to be through reality itself, in different areas, which to him seem a little weird. And I won't spoil all of it. It has a recurrence of something that we've seen before. It does have some tie-ins to other shorts. Demon of Sleep Street was a much shorter short. It was based off parental abuse and sort of a revenge factor that causes some people. And it's a really short, so there's not like a lot outside of that to talk about. Wrong button, wrong weapon. Shoot. I meant to go for the Uzi and got the freaking sniper instead, boo. I don't know, that's better than the one I just had. But we're not gonna have time to find out. Maybe we will, I don't know. Ooh, I gotta reboot right time. I should be let out. Yeah. Ooh, someone's on. Okay, that was fun. So the next one we had on is Rabbit. Now, Rabbit was sort of an homage. I always like to write homages. Rabbit was about, I guess, rabies, but like a kind of supernatural version of rabies, which of course kind of leads us to think of Cujo. Now, it's different. Um, the rabies in our story and the rabies in Cujo are different. Cujo's rabies has to do with both rabies and a sentient evil spirit from the dead zone, whereas ours is just like a super rabies. I do plan on creating an entire novel based off that, kind of apocalyptic, I guess. But I've already written parts of it. Just haven't really pushed it. This one's sort of a prequel to that novel, or a sidequel, since it happens about the same time as the beginning of that novel. The Rabbit's fairly much a monster story, I guess. Cotton Eye Joe was the very first that I'd release of what I call a political horror story. I'm trying to see what we're going to do here. I'm going to do regular Fortnite marriage, but oh boy, oh boy. Just pet you with my foot. Why did you roll over and tuck your feet up like a little T-Rex, huh? You're so cute, Mellow. Oh, she's attacking my hands. Oh, she's got my hands. Oh, she's attacked. She grabbed Escape Room, Walking Dead horror, the family horror. Some of these are really bad. Some of these are okay. They had one created officially by the team at Hobby's Playtime, and it was broken beyond broken. Let's see what this is. Called the family. Scott My Joe was based. If you remember, early 2000s. So 2003. If you're a homosexual in Texas, was the year we were legalized. Prior to 2003, if we did anything homosexual, we could go to jail for it. In around 06 ish, I don't remember exactly. Yeah, I think it was 06. Obama and the Justice Department and a good Supreme Court would force through the legality of our marriage nationwide. We had this evil shit who has returned in the recent times. A woman who was I don't remember the title right now, but it's important even in the story. And she would refuse over and over and over again to hand out marriage licenses to gay people. She refused to do her job because she was a bigot, and she said she wielded religion as a weapon and an excuse to commit bigotry. I was like, "It's fine, woman. You don't do your job. Get out and find another job." This is loud. No idea if this is copyright. I guess we'll know when YouTube pisses his pants about it. That song is.
The family living in this house have been possessed. Your task is to free them and get them back safely. If they get hostile, just know to defend yourself. Whatever happens, let them live. We need them for research.
That was interestingly written. Okay, so no riding. It is a walking simulator. There is an exclamation point over there. If I go up and around, there's jumping. Something exclamation point over here. It's pointing us over here, guys. Let me guess, the front door is locked. Your family is possessed. Is the kitty cat possessed? Yes, probably. So yeah, Cotton Eye Joe was based off of the kind of anger we felt at that time, as she refused to do her job, and they hate the South. It's a horror story based where the kind of a monster creature feature, but also slasher horror, based off of the centrist idea of the hate found in the South of the U.S., where conservatives and Christian cultists rule the nation. After Hot Night Joe, there's The Crossing. The Crossing was a really short horror story. It's based off some news stories where we had a bunch of people just all at once. What are we supposed to be doing here? What? The heck was that? Am I supposed to breathe like that too? We got the keys. Ow, my ears. Is this supposed to be a playoff? I don't know. Resident Evil, 6, 7, 7. I'm actually have to turn this down. Wait, nah, I'm not even sure if y'all gonna hear me anymore. Hold on, I pressed the wrong button. Wait, nah, I'm not even sure if y'all gonna hear me. Okay, y'all gonna hear me now? Okay, good. Okay. And that did what exactly? Yes, let's go see who's knocking in the house of evil people, shall we? There's no actual locational knocking.
I can help you. You just gotta let me back in. She is holding us captive. Come to the garage.
Okay. Last time I saw a creepy woman like that. Jeez. There's stuff breaking garage. He's so confused. Oh. Where's the damn garage? I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, who got the drill? Who notifies me of this? The hell? Oh my god. This is worse made than the granny. This is why Roblox will never be a place to buy this, because it looks like it's really hard to make anything good. So main door keys. Is Mr. Hammer Time still out here? I don't think that was him we killed. We killed his son. Let's see. So after, oh yeah, Cotton Eye Joe. So after Cotton Eye Joe, that's a seahorse. I thought that was something else. Crossing the Hat Man. The Hat Man's another kind of ode to creepypasta and is a creature feature. The heck? Giant jar. Wait. Wait, this area looks super familiar, like I've been here before. In a different game, maybe? Eyes wide open. Very battle until death. The heck was that? So these are the people who hoarded the toilet paper. back in 2020. Why are we making fuel? We need to make more fuel, or is that all we needed to do? I'll go down there. I'm going to check over here. Nada. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's not full. We need some more. Anybody else get keys? We didn't try this back door, did we? Shotgun. Quietest thing ever. Oh, someone on the way past. I feel like we just went on a loop. Okay, they got that. Mine in the bathroom. Really? Really? Whoops. Glad he saunters as slow as Michael Myers. Oh man. He got me. Well, this way. I guess we see. I'm at the lead and I didn't see whatever that was supposed to be. Lady, are you on the second floor window?
Hey, I can actually help you. You just gotta let me back in.
Okay. We don't trust her anymore. Oh, here we go. Six, 3, 4, 1. Okay. Wait, we're back here. Get roundabout. We're back at the beginning. So we're looking for something with the code. Nothing here with the code. Have fun with him. What did they do? Okay, so we have this room is still locked. Not sure what the pearl itself did. Got it. And whack on the garage. Nothing over here. This is basically the baker's family kitchen area. Nothing noticeable in here. We're looking for something to put the code into, and now I'm going to forget the code by the time we find it. Anyway, while we look for this, so yeah, the Hatman was basically a creepypasta ode again. The idea was the character found a creepypasta on the internet. He was a person who often liked to debunk the realism or unrealism of creepypasta and does so to his own. Well, that sounded good. Someone found a door to open. And I don't know what that was, but they did something with something. Let's go. Shotgun. Shotgun, my shotgun, my shotgun. Wow. CG. That's okay. But it's that over to the side.
This is so sad. I liked you. I really did.
It is time for you to pay.
Is going on. That was interesting. So yeah, the Hatman, it's also sort of a creature feature because it is a creepypasta um ode. I like the creature in that one, honestly. Let's see. Wind in Their Nose is based off two things. It's named after a on Denver lyric. Um, it's the story itself of the song was about hunting and how it was bad. The story itself is based off centralized around two wolves who are being aerial hunted. Aerial hunted is where fake hunters, not that I really support hunting in general for sport. Sport hunting is not real hunting and it shouldn't be done. But a sport hunter in an aerial vehicle, which was a big thing that some politician did back around this time, um, hunt down these two brother wolves. And it's a horror story from the perspective of the two wolves. The lake is the first time I kind of gave an ode to Silent Hill. At this time, we didn't really have Silent Hill. There wasn't any Silent Hill 2. There was no Team Blooper giving us anything that was, I think, like Silent Hill. Silent Hill had gone way off the deep end. They sold off to foreign companies that didn't give two craps about thing. They had done Homecoming, which was okay, and you could tell there was some fandom related to that, and the Carol was still part of it. And then they had Downpour, which was just poorly shelled out trash with a story that was meh, music that was meh, and graphics and AI of physics that were way behind Homecoming. But yeah, at that time, Silent Hill had been dead, and around this time, I believe we'd also get PT, which would be canceled, giving us even further issues and hopes with our now revived the system. The lake was sort of like a idea based off that, but it was also supposed to be its own central sort of original idea. It was loosely based off Silent Hill, very loosely. The idea is a guy goes out to a lake with his son to fish, and but as fog rolls in and settles, there's something wrong with the lake in the area. It's again a horror monster. Victims of Freedom would be the second one in here. That was a political horror story. Um, I um, so around this time, it was before Trump had become president, but he had started doing his BS. And you eating off the floor, man? Stop eating feathers. You're not a bird eater. You're raised inside. You don't need to eat feathers. You're not a dog. Don't eat garbage off the floor. Maybe that look pretty nice. Um, yeah, wrong with him? Did we already do him? I don't think we did him. Like, I had no idea who we just did because we just did that. Let's go ahead and hit Calamity. I know where we are. And let's see what else we can do here. Six. Man. Yeah. Should we just go back to regular old Fortnite? Oh, that's right here. It's been there the whole time. Just staring me at its ghost face. And so at that time, other than chasing Obama for his birth certificate, Trump was starting this whole anti-trans thing that he would be pushing today, along with evil people like Greg Abbott and Kim Paxton. And one of the things was trans people are going to abuse your children in bathrooms. Those are the anti-bathroom bullshit and the beginning of the whole anti-trans bullshit way back then. And I wrote Victims of Freedom. In Victims of Freedom, there's a point of view two people, trans woman and trans man, and their experiences in being forced by law into their birth bathrooms. Um, and I don't mind spoiling a bit here because I have a story to tell. The woman is abused by men in the men's bathroom because men are gross. Often there's going to be anti-trans men that will rape trans women. It's just going to happen. The trans man is beaten for being inside the women's restroom. I'm telling you this because years after I wrote this, almost the exact same happened in a campground. In a campground, a conservative campground owner forced a trans woman, no, sorry, trans man. Yeah, it was a trans man to use the women's restroom. He is a trans man. If you don't know what that means they were born women, but they are trans men, and that makes them literally men. So he was forced to use the women's restroom by the conservative campground member, and then he got attacked. Unlike in my story, there was enough fighting him and less people, and he didn't quite lose the fight wholly. The police were called, though, and the police arrested the trans man for being attacked by the anti-trans conservatives. Um, so it was a point of my story predicting the future. It was a very easy future to predict. We know how the hate goes in this country. So there is apparently a reference to the mini season coming up here. We already know that the mini season is going to be something to do with. Yeah, let's just go over here for the hell of it. I don't know if that's anywhere. I don't exactly know where it is in the map. The next mini season is going to be Simpsons related. Apparently, a whole map's going to be Simpsons themed, which means we'll get 2 new maps. But now the mini season map, which will be a brand new Simpsons themed map. I don't know if it'll change this map because it appears to be taking over this map, like fading into it, or if it'll just replace it wholly. After the victim freedom, at the very last one in Dead Ends 2 is the processing. Now, the processing, I was thinking of creating horror. If you don't know what horror is horror, but with a focus on violence. One's already buzzing. And that was the idea of the processing. It's a dirty, filthy, violent horror story. And ironically, probably the only one of the few horror stories in Dead End series that ends on a possible positive note. Like there's hope at the end of it. There may even be future stories. People have called it like the vegan anti-meat story. Is like, no, I like eating meat. I do highlight the abuse some animals might see in the meat industry, but it's not anti-meat. Okay, why did you put yourself all over there? Maybe climb. Let's get inside of the circle. And that would be the end of Dead Ends 2. Dead Ends 3 will be next, and that would be released on the 19th. That was my last release of a Dead Ends series, my last release of free work. Dead Ends 3, unlike Dead Ends 1 and 2, focused primarily on novellas. Instead of having a handful of shorts with some novellas with them, it was a focus on primarily novellas. And that doesn't mean the short, because the 3 novellas put together actually made it the longest of the Dead End series. So in the very first story in Dead Ends 3 is called 17CL. 17CL is a straight-on ode to Silent Hill. At that time, we thought Silent Hill was lost. There was no coming back. There was no future for it. It was a dead genre. We had no idea Team Cooper would do their best to bring it back, and Konami would suddenly get the idea that the fans mattered again for firing their moneymaker, Kojima. Um, so I wrote 17CL. It's about a Colorado town stuck in the middle of the Rockies in sort of like a pitch in the middle of the Rockies. Forgotten town. Most people don't even know it exists. It's where people go if they want to be forgotten. Um, you ain't him, interestingly. It's an MRI. That is an MRI. Why is there an MRI up here? I'll take the Mark 7 rifle. Mark 7 had to do with like the 7, right? But 17CL follows the viewpoints of several people. The writer, I wonder who that's based off, who is a writer who had to deal with some political trouble in his past. He is related to another story I haven't released. I won't tell you everything on that story because I haven't released that yet, but you'll see them in the future. Um, Possibly. It is loosely related. Um, we have the mother, who is a mother who wakes up to find the children have disappeared and fog's over in the town and there are monsters in it. We have the co-workers, a group of co-workers, one with a dark secret, one with a something trauma, recent trauma she's trying to bury, very recent trauma. Um, and a visiting trucker who gets stuck in the town. Oh, I love Wrecker Revolver so much. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't need this XP. But they each come in and they face monsters that are part of their fears, darkest secrets, stuff like that. Just very Silent Hillish. It was basically supposed to be an ode to Silent Hill at the time. So the next story is called The Warm Hearth. The Warm Hearth is my attempt at a winter horror story, but it isn't. It's a horror story based during winter, during snow, fall, and the cold. But it isn't based around the cold. It's not a horror story having to do with the cold. It's a kind of another kind of psychological thriller slash. I don't know. Slash. Not really a sort of a kidnapping horror, I guess is what you'd call it. So gross. Who is buzzing at me? Are the thorns here? She's not being very loud. It is her. I didn't mean to fall. Okay, return to lobby so we can change characters. Um, so yeah, Warm Hearts about obsession, I guess, and the dangers of obsession and the dangers of uh parasociality, as well as misjudging your treatment of others. You know, while the woman is a victim, the idea is while the person is parasocial, he's a villain, he's a kidnapper. If she had, and she's completely the victim here, the idea is not everybody's perfect, not everybody's wholly innocent, and if she had maybe treated someone in the past a little better, this wouldn't have happened, I think. But again, that's not really an excuse for what he does. Yeah, I try to make some of myself kind of complex. And lastly, in the very last stories of the current Dead End series, the Dead Ends 3's last story, is Guest of Moonlight. Interestingly, let me get here and get the next character out. Guest of Moonlight was supposed to be known as Guest of Midnight, placed in a fictional town named Midnight, Texas. Around the time I was finished writing it and editing it for release in a magazine, I read a somewhat new story called Midnight, Texas. I have nothing against it. It's just coincidence. Midnight, Texas is written by Catherine Harris of the True Blood novel series. Actually, really good side series. It happens in the same world as the True Blood series and everything. I think they tried to make a TV show off of it. I don't know if it was successful. I think I saw like a few episodes. I don't remember if there was episodes. I want to say there were episodes, or I'm just crazy. I don't think it's Harris. I like her as a writer, especially her vampire stuff. Um, so I had to change my stuff to Moonlight, Texas, and everything other than that remained the same. This is sort of a feature haunted town idea, as well as tying into that kind of universe I talked about with creepy death and whatnot. Um, basically, these random people come to this town. We have a serial killer. We have, and that's okay that I tell you serial killers, you know that right off the bat. You have a lady looking to sell her house because she knows what's wrong with Midnight and she doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And it's become sort of a monetary issue, taking care of it. And then you have a guy coming to look for his missing husband, or information on his likely deceased husband who died in Midnight, but doesn't quite know about the Midnight issues. And then you have a PI who's being sent after a woman who's the payer thinks is an unfaithful woman. And then you have the rational residents of Midnight, some rational residents of Midnight that know what's wrong with the town. You can discover what's wrong with the town as it goes on without giving it, but it has a lot to tie in with the darkness, so I won't give away too much. That was the end of the Dead End series. Around that time, I would try to start releasing a novel. I had worked hard on it. I had felt like it got to a good place for it to go on. To give a little history on the novel, early 2008ish, 2009ish, I was told I should dabble into the vampirial dark fantasy series by a friend, and I did. And I wrote a vampire novel. I originally titled it A Bite of an Apple, an ode to Twilight, which I have absolutely no fandom or interest in, but just for the heck of it. And then also Twilight helped revive the interest in such series. Without Twilight, would we have True Blood? Would we have all the new Anne Frank TV shows? I don't think so. Why can't I pick this up? Well, huh, bitch. Hello. There we go. Got that one. Let's just go. And we'll keep going. That was around. So yeah, I ended up writing a kind of fantasy horror, mostly dark fantasy novel. I ended up having a friend read it. They gave me a much needed so you know how bad it was, and I let it sit to the wayside. I came back to it a while later and figured out the reason they didn't like it, and I ended up not liking it. It's because likely it was vampire based. I like vampires quite enough, but they're not my favorite dark fantasy creature. Werewolves are. I went back and rewrote it to completely be a new werewolf story. I feel like it came out much better. Still, I didn't find much as far as interest in publishing goes. I was frustrated with publishers, their uninterest in new talent at all. It's like, guys, I'll give you my books, sell it, we both make money. What is the point in not trying to just sell me a little? It doesn't actually hurt you if it doesn't sell that bad, and it just makes us some money. Without publishers, of course, they don't have the quite advertisement heavy abilities I would be able to with them. Like right now, no job, I have no money for advertisements, and this is why I'm doing this today, kind of self-advertised. So I ended up self-publishing by the I self-edited it. I would later on have it professionally edited once I had enough money to do so. But it was first released was self-edited, and it was very noticeable. Basically, the story takes place in around early 2000s. In reality, Obama's president. Um, Character works at some jobs that aren't exactly friendly with the idea of his Obamacare and the expansion of healthcare for workers. So it's around that time frame, but it's not political full on. It just gives you an idea of where. I kind of want to see who that is. Get over that. What the heck? Are they just going to die out there? Are they coming? What's the point of that? Was that an NPC? I'm pretty sure Freaky Field spawns one of the NPCs, but whatever. It was the NPCs over here taking care of NPCs down there. I need to get moving. So the storyline, without giving away the whole thing, music is the main character, Jason, is a single father and working kind of a low-wage job when he's lured into a forest or woods behind his house and attacked by a wolf creature on two legs, a werewolf. The attack is interrupted find out in force. We're still not like 100% sure what interrupted it. Was it another werewolf? Was it a vampire? Was it its master? Was it a cop? Um, but this leaves Jason alive and he becomes a werewolf. In the first novel, he's dealing with becoming a werewolf, the danger he poses his family, whether he's able to keep enough of himself to live around humans. Does he need to go in hiding? Things like that. It also does a side story of him getting involved with some night police, introducing many of the main characters, and kind of wraps up the story with the whole introduction of the police and the issue they're having at that time, without really. Oh, it's those music box things. I keep forgetting they had that spooky music going on in certain places. But I was hitting into a boss battle there for a minute. But without fully wrapping up any of the big storylines. And since the first book's pretty much an introduction to everything. In the second book, it introduces there was like a romance thing that I don't want to give away, but started in the first book, and this introduces us more into that. They're exploring that. It's another exploration of something new for Jason. Let's just say yes, it is queer related, because I am queer, and I wanted to explore that as with the main character, and it's something new to him, just like it was once new to me. And so that happens, but then something overarching happens, not giving away too much of it. Um, Someone goes missing. Jason goes on a hunt for that. He gets involved with the big baddie. Um, Turns out this big baddie is pretty much in charge of the city they live in. There's this whole do we have to go to war thing. The second novel helps expand the world a little, involving magic, different types of monsters, places they may live and exist, social areas for the night creatures. And again, I don't want to give away too much of the story, so I'm being very vague on purpose. The second novel, which is released a few months ago, a handful of months ago, is named Bite of the Ancient, while the first novel is named By the Moon. You can buy them online as an ebook for fairly cheap, or you can buy them for paperback for a little more expense. Either way, I make the same amount of money, whether you buy the $5 or the $20 version. That was interesting. So now come down here, hide while you load. Shall we hire muscles? Hire some muscles. You're not a very good one, but we'll hire you. He launches explosive attacks that almost never hit. We're getting mad this much. I can introduce you to some of the characters, though. We have Jason, which is, of course, the main character. He's a single father, a werewolf, a canoodly werewolf. The first one has each book kind of takes place in a month. First one has him kind of becoming a werewolf and learning his ways, living out in the wild for a while, seeing who accepts him. The second one, he's kind of figured his way out with the werewolf, but it has him dealing with all the new issues coming on. He goes first to training to become. Um, I don't want to give away what he got invited to do, what he's been invited to do, and that gets interrupted by the other issues going on. We have Eric. He is a vampire. He's technically 50 years old, but he was bitten when he was 19ish, 20ish. Yeah, he looks young forever. He's Hispanic. He is a dealer in the idea of mind. I almost said mind playing. Well, my brain's broken. I can't remember the powers inside my own book, but it's an ability vampires have to mess with your mind, and he uses it to make people trip who are a horse type creature friendly. He doesn't sell it to unknowns. He's just his own independent pusher. We have Feltman, who is a cop and another vampire, and he is the lead secondary, technically the commander of the Night Creature Investigation Services, but her team, but the second in command behind another vampire named Sadie, who is millennia's old. Her birth was before the United States was a country, um, by a lot. She is half native, half Asian, um, born by tradesmen and Native American, and she's lived through empires, vampire empires, and stuff like that. And um, she's quite old, quite powerful. We have the two redheads who are part of the NCIAT. They're just humans. A comedic duo, very loyal to Feltman. We have Kai, who is introduced in the second book. He is central, the central magician, I would say, the magician who takes the most character storyline as far as magicians go, and an acquaintance of Jason's from before the novels. Who else is there? Jason has his family. He has a mom that he sometimes was with. He has a son. Um, oh, Tabby. Tabby is Jason's ex. And the first novel, she doesn't have pretty much any story other than being noticed to have been there. Um, she is, according to Jason, acting weird, and there's a reason without giving it away. In the second book, you kind of find a reason why she's becoming more standoffish and antisocial. Um, in the second book, she does go, yeah, she becomes more involved in the storyline. Let's just say that without giving anything away, um, and becomes wrapped up along with everybody else inside the main big baddie storyline. Uh, Leon, can't forget Leon. Leon is a older werewolf, but it doesn't show it. Werewolves do have an extended timeline. He is from New Orleans originally and has a Cajun Haitian accent from around that area. Jason always calls it the New Orleans accent because Jason's a little dumb. I'm sorry, Jason. Made Jason very common for a werewolf. Um, and let's see here. He leads the Bear County pack. There's like his idea was to create a pack that would be for only pro-friendly, pro-social werewolves, werewolves that follow basic night creature law and aren't criminals. And he has a fairly large pack to where it becomes an issue in the second book, and they have to do something about the fact that his pack is too large. Uh, Also, he is a gay character, and he does have a boyfriend um, who's probably the biggest werewolf in the world, or one of them. There's a few characters I can't think of the names off right off the top of my head, which will become bigger in the third book. Third book is currently under writing, but I think that I'm going to push some shorts out first, and then if I have any luck, I might push out a different novel series. The problem is with my beloved Werewolf series being pushed as independent and only mildly successful, publishers will go, "Huh, that didn't blow up because you don't have the ability to make it blow up. We're not going to touch it with an input poll." And so, unless I become popular elsewhere, I'll be stuck in this rut where I am making only independent publishing of the Bite series, and it will never become published by bigger publishers. But if I release a new series and that becomes, I don't know, somewhat read, I can go back to my publishers like, can you publish my next in this series? And they may say yes. Okay, see locker here. Time is it? I didn't mean to spend this much time here. Do one more drop. How about that? Hello? Get out of here. We have one more drop. A drop. Drop as. Pretty much done talking about that stuff. If you have any interest in my novels or my shorts, you can find them, most of them, as digitals. The novels do have paperback versions. I don't recommend the paperback version of Unsuspected, which does exist out there, because it is not fully up to date. Amazon gave you some trouble with. Amazon gives you trouble if you try to update paperbacks, which is why I try to not. I even had trouble this past. I did find someone who was really willing to look at it and help me, but it is a pain in the butt to change a paperback novel once it's uploaded. Shall we overall win this match, or we can get beaten right at the beginning? Who knows? Again, so with my future job, not quite knowing what's going on, if I happen to have off during the day that the event happens, whenever the heck that is, I will come by and we will drop in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the entire Fortnite storyline from beginning to end while we wait for the event to take place. I'll come in like an hour, 2 hours early. We'll play and I'll read. It's a fairly long storyline. Luckily, with the storyline I've gathered up together, it does help explain some loose ends, though there is a lot of loose ends. I know where loose ends are put in. But mostly what it helped me do is understand the end of the fourth chapter, the fourth story. Because holy cow, did that not make sense in game? In game, it made it seem like Jonesy did all the time travel stuff to alleviate the invasion of a vampire who was not as big of a threat as I thought he was. As apparently Jonesy thought he was, in my opinion. I thought Jonesy thought he was a huge threat. He was just a vampire who's time traveling, collecting items. There's apparently a different reason he did all this stuff, and we'll talk about that. If I don't get to be here during the chapter 6 ending, I will eventually have a chapter 7 premiere, and we'll go over the storyline at that time. One way or the other, I'll read y'all's storyline. It's almost the end of Halloween. Y'all enjoy Spooky Month while it lasts, because you know what comes next. Not Thanksgiving. No one gives a shit about Thanksgiving. Grab Mariah Carey on every radio. That was an awful ending. No one's up here. Oh yeah. I was gonna bring our fly. I think you got everything on rank too. I got that one chainsaw tool unlocked in rank, so we're pretty much good with this season. Just waiting for the season to end now. Haven't had a season completed like this in a while. What happens to have I heard footsteps that were not mine. He's gonna kill us. Yeah, I thought so. Damn, last call. Last call's way overpowered, but I guess that's the point. Okay, we'll call it a day. That was about a 2-hour shift. OG's season storyline, Red Cube explained. Yeah, please help us with that. The Red Cube, before I go, as far as we can tell in the story on that one for OG season, since I had. So, when the alternate visitor left, it rifted through a red or pinkish rift in the sky, which was different than the original rift. And when that released the cube, it was a red cube, just different than the other cube. Purple cubes are corrupted, usually having to do with the last reality and their corruption power, the storm, the purple, the runes, everything like that. A gray cube is turned off, indicating usually we did it with an EMP, indicating the cubes were partially mechanical, possibly sentient mechanical, since they decide to do their own things. And then red cube, we didn't know. It was friendly while it was red. It would heal us instead of hurting us when we shot at it. It would just port us away like shoo. Um, up until it fell into the lake. When it fell into the lake, we assumed that it got in contact with the last reality ship underneath and became corrected into the purple cube. Was Kevin originally Redfin, and does that make it why Kevin's a little uh, less susceptible to the Queen's impregnatation in a season in chapter 3? We don't know. Maybe Kevin was originally Redfin, um, or Redfin's just an alternate reality. What we originally think happened in the original is Kevin was supposed to be a probe that opened up the portal for the last reality. When Redfin came in, we don't know if it has anything to do with last reality or if he's just a regular old cube species prior to last reality's corruption. When he got corrupted, he has now gone back to Kevin's plan to open up a portal into the alternate reality and let the last reality through. He's doing it just like Kevin did. We don't know if the end game will be Redfin Kev / Kevin exploding, bringing us into the 0 point. We don't know what's going to happen. That should happen around the 4th, I believe. We'll see again if I happen to be free during that day. I may hop in. I can figure out the time frame for that. Or I'll just let you know what happened story wise next time I'm able to hop in and give you a story overview. Now we got different stories. Of course, we also got the stories line of Reload, which seems to be changing. Right now it's just Nightmare Island, but they have three different islands usually on it, three or four, which indicates that there's some kind of a shift going on because all the different islands are mixtures of old island places, alternate realities, or mixtures of old islands left over, even though the original island or the second island, whichever you want to count that, was completely obliterated by the explosion after the Chrome. So I'm not sure what's really going on there. Of course, we also have Blitz, which seems to be a revamp of old seasons. Blitz right now is chapter 4 items on it, chapter 4 locations on it, crammed together on an extremely small island, indicating that something may have happened to the chapter 4 island. So if you remember chapter 4 island, again, is one we left with the Big Bang. Technically, OG, the first OG, um, Agent Jones or Jones, he took the stolen time travel machine into the chapter 1 season 4-ish chapter of Fortnite, started messing with time and making everything happen before it was supposed to happen, and created the 0 point event, zero, yeah, 0 point black hole event way before it was supposed to happen, causing a different timeline to break off, but that doesn't completely erase the timeline that existed before then. This branches off on a new timeline. We already know that timelines exist in Fortnite, and they can be branched and broken and split. So the original timeline of Fortnite that ended in Chapter 4 still exists. So we don't know exactly what happened to the Chapter 4 island that we created and left in the hands of a vampire. There's some idea that the vampire was supposed to be in here this season somewhere. I haven't seen him. I don't know if he's in Blitz. I don't know if he's somewhere on the island. In fact, actually, hold on, something I forgot to do. Where's my collections? We have everybody here. Oh, that's not right. Collections, map, characters. We're missing one. Let's hop back in and find that last one. He is here. Whoever this is, we're missing. So, who is on the map? We have, of course, Agent Patch from OXR. He helped lead the fight against the bugs, which are now been pretty much defeated. It sounds like there may be a final having to do with the bugs or the demons or something. We seem to be we're getting ready to go into the demon realm. We have Gamer May. Of course, she's from actual Chapter 4 as a thief. The last season there, helped steal the time travel machine. She now works with OXR. We have Diego. He is the guy who is native to this island. Um, Originally a Fox Clan descendant, he creates masks that are cursed. The Fox clans and stuff started making masks a long time ago. They were banned when they found out they did demonic magic. In this case, Diego started back up and it helped in a chance to power himself and fight the demons that had been released on the island. He lost himself for a while, became part of a demon up until the demonic tentacles slapped him aside. We have Dr. Theodore Fliesby. He seems to be working with OXR or Hope. I'm not sure which one. Some kind of Anthroply. I don't know much more than that. We have Jade, sister to Diego and Kendo. She's the one who was trapped in the Demon Realm for a little while in the first season. Kendo, the smartest and lead of the trio, and the most, I guess, moral one of them, or most responsible one of them. Let's see where he is. Okay, let's see where everybody is. So the OXRs are up here. So we have Kendo hanging out over here with another ex demon. Fly Guy is over here alongside a few others. Can't really tell who that is. I'm going to assume there's probably Hope and Jonesy right there. We have Kendo and Jade hanging out together. That makes sense. They're over here. It's kind of farmish Oaksar area. I should say it's an Oaksar area. They're hanging out. They don't really hang out with Diego since his downfall. We have Lieutenant Riff Slade, which is again an OG member from Save the World, in his latest form. He seems to be over here with May. And also saw some OXR members together right here. Him and Panda are together. Mizuki's here. Hello. I guess I already saw her. So Mizuki's also from Chapter 4. She is the leader of the River Clan, one-time enemy or combatant to the Fox Clan. Her brother actually joined the Fox Clan, which caused some of the issues between them, but I think helped mend the two clans up together. They're both likely from this Japanese island or this world, though they also have some involvement with Mega City, and I don't know if Mega City comes from this world. She's over here alongside someone else. That is Yomi, one of the new OXR members, and an idol. We have Onyx Winter, which is another local to this island, and OXR member over here with May and them. A lot of them over here. Like the main OXR Etuda. We have Shadow Hope Blade. Of course, Hope is from Chapter 5. She is the Hope from the Pandora's Box, daughter of the weapons myth of Grecian mythology, and she has the ability to see the future through her paintings. She joined up with Jonesy originally we thought Jonesy was going to retire and she was going to replace him. But they ended up traveling together for a while and ended up on this island. We have Night Rose. She is an ex-demon. She's still technically a demon, person demon warrior. She was originally puppeted by a much stronger demon. Once the loopers broke her puppetry, she became on their side. She's hanging out with Diego, which makes sense since Diego is some knowledge of demonic puppetry. We have Vengeance Jones. Jones, of course, is one of the longer storied members. Jones was originally IO. He broke with IO in chapter 2. Don't ask me about season, but it was the season with the wild season with the raptors and whatnot, and with those spires, kinetic tower spires, and the introduction of some of the seven, like the Foundation. He broke off with IO, then has been part of like a revolutionary team since then. Joined with the Seven, joined with anti-IO agents, joined with the Loopers at all times. He's recently Vengeance Jonesy. He came in on chapter 5 as this. He was the anti to the ruling group at that point, and then helped fight against the gods. And then we thought he was going to retire, but he came over here and is helping Hope lead the resistance against the demons, which appears to be an entire chapter wide issue. We have Yomi, of course, we already did her. We have Shaggy. Shaggy, of course, is from Scooby Doo. Somehow drifted over here. She's hanging out with Scooby because they didn't ever don't hang out. And of course, they're in the bird looking at food. In Shifty Shafts, Daphne is sitting around. I don't know why she's in the mine. Fred is stuck next to the van where he has broken down and or crashed it because Fred always has that van brake on him. And Daphne is right, she's in Crackshot's cabin. She's the only one in this actual cabin. I'm not sure why she's there, unless her idea is at Central Island she'll get more access to central points. We have the Mothman, which is a creature. He isn't actually evil. He is a harbinger. Um, he seems to be hanging out here. We have the box stick, which is a horror version of fish sticks. It's most likely this is the evolution of fish sticks that happened when fish sticks creatures moved into like a swamp or boggy area. And of course, he's hanging out in a swampy area over here next to creepy camps near Jason. We have, why did that go to white? Phantom Meowscles, who is, of course, we already know up here in this area. Phantom Meowscles, I believe, is a mixture of two infections of Meowscles. Oops. Hold on, guys. We have issues. There we go. Still running. Still running. Yeah, we're still running. So Meowscles originally, either Meowscles or one of his digital copies got infected by the ink, the cartoonish infection, which turns them into like black and white cartoon creatures. And then got infected by what appears to be like a curse or the darkness or demon magic right there, which all may be related. The demon magic and the purple last reality curse may be the exact same thing. And I believe that's what caused Phantom Meowscles. Two curses. And then lastly, Spooky Team Leader, which is just Team Leader, which is Ramirez, of course. And Spooky Get Up. Now we have one more to do. Where's that one at? Here. Here at the bottom. We need to figure out who this guy is. So we're going to hop in one last time or until we find out who that is. I do believe today is the release date of Dairy. So if you're It fan and you have HBO, go watch it. Return to Dairy. Now here it is a prequel to the current It Chapter 2. Based off the novels. Instead of being another remake, it's going to be a prequel dealing with some of the stuff left out in the novels and some of the history in the novels.
They did the monster mash.
Let's just see if we can figure out who's down here. Sire, I Frozen Manny, if you had to be watching, this is probably going to be my last drop. I have things I got to do. I got to go find nice clothes for my interview on Monday. I don't see a pop-up of a character yet. Possibly right here. Oh, here's somebody. It is Billy Bone. And he's a hireable character, why not? What a poor choice. The moment you saw Pilly running away, you should have been prepared. Also, Pilly, what the heck? I hired you to protect me. What are you running for? Oh, weird that I saw someone up here. Who? Okay. Let's just go be as aggressive as possible. We're gonna find out who's fighting who over here. Give her that. Much appreciated. Much flash. I don't need that. Really, what have you been doing for the last 5 minutes? Get towards the center and see if we see anything. Dead center of the map will be right here. Billy, what the heck am I paying you for? Fire one shot. Up in the weapons fight. Okay, so that will be my end. Now we know who that was. That was Peely Bone. Peely Bone was introduced a while back, I think around the same time Ghost Midas was, but I don't remember exactly. I do have him. Um, Peely Bone is, again, one of the two Peelys that show that Peely deaths may somewhat remain as 0 point copies. He's a ghost, and whatever that is, a zombie. Oh, and here's some new ones we have here. We have the Repo, which is the semi-bots from the Repo thing. They must have landed on the island on an accident. Hopefully the camera's cute. We have a update story-wise to Marigold. This is a new Marigold. She is both cursed by gold and cursed by blood, which means she is also now a vampire. Whether that remains in her story or there's just a 0 point copy that got cursed into being a vampire is unknown. But this is the latest update to the Midas family we've had since Midas came back in chapter 5. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Midas came back this chapter as a cowboy. So that was the last time we saw some update. She also has this, which is not something I'm familiar with. I think it's supposed to be a play, like an original play off the violin music to one of the Draculas. We also have some other ones out here. We have Dread Fate. which is like an evil version of Fate. Not that Fate and Omen were good people, but they're now like some kind of evil darkness. Maybe cursed is the purple. We, of course, have Dominion and Malice, actual demons. They may actually be in the demon realm down there. We have Nightmare, which I do have, and is a cursed purple looking version of a knight. Of course, there's Poltergeist, the other dead Billy, and some really cool shoes. Actually, those shoes are pretty cool. We have Huggy Wuggy come in. Huggy Wuggy, of course, is a creature made out of a child and a stuffed animal by the company they are involved with, for unknown means, honestly, just because they could. Art the Clown again. I think we've already shown him, but of course he's just a psychotic supernatural killer. Spider Knight is here. Spider Knight is back. Spider Knight's an old one, chapter one something. Chapter one, season 6, some kind of knight that has to do with spiders. His female version kind of reminds me of the villain off City Heroes. Jason, Isabel, a maked up zombie version of Jezebel. Order remnants, what's left of the Order soldiers. Don't have much of a job lately. As if he goes back to OG, he may have a job. Queen of Hearts, a lead to the card gang. The grabber, the undead, or I should say ghostly dead ice grabber, not the live grabber from the first review, the one from the new movie. We have Corvus, which is Raven, having to do with the Raven series, has the same darkness in its face with the purple glowing eyes, and has a back thing that is similar. Of course, the Raven series, we have Raven and Ravage. I don't know, funny, I can get that rest of that series. Malachor, which is sort of a wintry demon series along with Shiver. Wednesday came out. She has a thing on her arm. The thing does react to certain things. I was hoping to show you her dancing with thingish. It has her dance from the TV show.
I turned into a teenage Google Mob.
Then it has Concertovo. It's kind of cheating because the thing is the one doing the fingers. Oh, Jack Skellington's out just in time for the end of Halloween. Of course, we had the mystery bundle. For some reason, Terminator's here. I don't know. Terminator and what's her name are back in. I guess that indicates they're on the island somewhere for some reason. Sid's back. I guess some shoes are cheaper than normal if I had the money. It's already on the Sid. For some reason, Dumb Ways to Die is here. I know they have a new video game. I don't know if it's related. Of course, the Queen of Thorns, aka Doja. These are OG mentions. Nothing I really know here. You could look them up. So Hesper King came in Chapter 6 mini season 1. So she's from the uh she's from this season's Star Wars season. That's weird. Let's look up real quick to see if they're related to anything else. So I'm just go ahead and exit my YouTube. Fortnite Hesper. Look at my eyes doing goopy. I hope they're not gonna be tomorrow. Based off the Victoria. So Hesper King is originally Victoria. Okay, so Hesper King's name is originally Victoria. They first came to the island as Catalina. Catalina was released August 16, 2024. Chapter 5, Season 4. Then she's also known as Dr. Bleeker. So released in 6/2. And now the Hesper King, which was released in that's right, mini season 1, Galactic Battle. Yeah, so she went from being some kind of popish cat girl to a doctor of some kind. Whatever the heck this is. It says she got dead to rights, some kind of gunner during the invasion of the Empire. Quadrantary leader. He's 6 of also released during the mini season 1. That's weird. Usually this I forgot you were outside. You scared me. Usually this is a set area for OG people. I don't know why they have a bunch of mini season 1 in here. This chapter. This is Squadron Leader. Which sounds like they're likely having something to do with data. Oh, this is freaking Fate. This is Fate. This is a new version of Fate. Um, she doesn't have a lot to go on. Of course, Fate also has the Masked Fates, which don't show up here because the Masked Fates are on the face. Other than the Fate and the Masked Fates and the different versions of Fates, there's also Glow, which is just a kind of glowy version of Fate with some glowy white eyes, and Squadron Leader. So this is Fate without her Fate gear on during the Star Wars stuff. She kind of gave up the Fate stuff. Oleander, which sounds familiar. I've seen her recently. She got leaf stuff on her. It's from 4/3, which makes sense. Let's see if she's related to anybody else. So she is unique. She is only herself. Nobody else so far. Of course, this is Ramirez as Warfare. This Ramirez came in chapter 5, season 1. So last chapter during the very beginning, around the time of the island being owned by the rich guys. Of course, Sanctum. Again, if you want to know Sanctum, I've already looked this up. We'll go ahead and look it up again since he's for sale. Sanctum's original name is Manzu. Manzu has a lot of difference. In our world, when he was taken from our world, he was known as Drift. But these are different. He has different reality versions, such as Sushi Master, Sanctum. Now, Sanctum looks extremely similar to Drift, including the face mask. There's a good chance this is just a vampire infected Drift. But like Sushi Master and Overtaker looks slightly different from Drift, and so does Ether. Looks completely his own thing. So there's different alternate reality versions. So last time we saw Drift was on here. Oh no, Drift's been everywhere actually. One of the last things they show here for him is something called Gorilla. I recognize that one. It's just some cheap store looking one. We have Swift, which is a drift-like outfit. It looks like Nick Scarlet. I'm not familiar with. That Scarlet is 5'4". During the creation's ending season. Her original name is Erica. She has the original skin she came in with was Blair. She then became Nick Scarlet, and then in OG she became Powerpunk. Where so Blair she came in with dark hair with some gray to it and a hoodie. Blair was released on 5-3. Season 5, Chapter 3. Yeah, Scarlet says she was just a chapter after, so the next chapter he was Greece, right? Was no, one was 5-3. I honestly don't remember anymore. Is 5-3 freaking creation 5-4 the apocalyptic, or was the apocalyptic wastelands 5-3 and what was 5-4 then? I don't remember. But anyway, she came in, dyed her hair red, and became Nick Scarlet, and then dyed her hair purple and pulled it up and turned into Power Punk or OG, or that's OG is just an alternate version of hers. We have Kong and Mechagodzilla from this chapter. Oh, by the way, it's here. Fortnite 11. Dominates Sorrel. And that is pretty much it, guys. There's not really much else here. We have Goldbang here, who is, we already know her. She is from chapter 1, season 8, originally as a gold hunter. Hanks and Haunted, and this lady who looks UG. So we're gonna go ahead and call it. Thank you all for showing up again. I will be back for um the end of the chapter if I'm able to. If I'm not, I will be here for my premiere on one of my next days off. Peace and out, and wish me luck with my job. And again, if you want to support me, please go buy my books and read them, and then rate them. They need to be rated.